Start recording. Okay, cool. So this will just go straight to my hard drive. Which is I don't know if it was a hackerspace, but I feel like maybe it was. There's a organization, some sort of computer related organization in Berlin that owns like a whole building, and then they rent it to, like, for instance, hacker groups. It's like they got in early enough, or they had some sort of like family money or something, and they parlayed it into owning a building that is now, I think, still owned.
Yeah.
Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, there's
He's like, yeah, well, pick one of 5.
kind of. I also started one in Houston called TXRX. Which,
TXRX.
funny
That's
enough,
cool.
It literally started as like just meeting in a coffee shop, and now it's like.
Oh, was this you? This guy? This thing?
Yeah, that's TXRX.
Whoa, that's
transmit receive.
Interesting. You're gonna like the stuff I was drawing. What does this look like? What is this? There's a visual language that's like Haitian, the spiritual Haitian language, visual language that looks almost identical to this. I know a guy who knows. I can ask him, but I can also just Google it. I think it's Haitian.
But yeah, like, it's kind of crazy that coffee club group now owns like probably good like 50 to 100,000 square feet of warehouse filled with just machines.
No way.
And it's now working on Bitcoin as one of the core contributors.
Wow, nice work.
Which, like, I haven't been a part of it for like since moving to SF.
Still, that's really cool.
Yeah, this is cool stuff.
Yoruba.
This looks cool.
Yoruba.
Looks really cool, actually.
Oh, this isn't it. Maybe it's what is this?
There's also just the Ethiopian alphabet.
Oh, here we go. Vev. That's not what the word I was looking for at all, but apparently it might be it.
Or Americ.
So hold on one second. This is gonna bug me until I find a decent.
Is that you, Liam?
Here we go. I'm sorry. What was the word that you asked about that I don't think I recognized? It was like Yorick or Mark or something like that.
Oh, I just said Amharic, which is easier probably to type in Ethiopian alphabet.
Ethiopian. I think I got that wrong anyway. There we go. Wow. Jeez.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
It recently was on like Twitter because people were responding to Trump using the Ethiopian alphabet, and people were like, satanic, and it's just Ethiopian.
Well, yeah, interesting. I mean, I wonder how far back this goes and how coincident that is with mythology of satanic influence and that kind of stuff. But wow. Yeah, and then, okay, so getting back though to yours, which was TXRX, and then we were talking about Chaos Computer Club, and I had just connected my screen, and I was asking about a place in Berlin, and you brought up a thing that you were involved in, and it's just very funny that this identity. So it seems like so where I left off. Okay, so entering phase 2 of today's workshop, we're gonna be actually like drawing some stuff. Ideally, right now we're as loose as possible because we have time, and we don't have to come to any conclusions yet. So this is supposed to be the exploration phase. I find that exploration continues right up to the end, but we have to avoid that as much as possible if we actually want to get this done. So I'm about to start drawing, and then on screen, and I'm hoping we'll see how it goes. I mean, it's a bit nerve-wracking to have to try and be interesting and creative collaboratively. I think I have some stuff that I have on paper that I'm just gonna start translating, and it will probably just kick off things pretty well. But generally, feel free to not pay attention. You can just answer emails. I don't know. I'll be talking and you can watch, and that's cool. But we'll see how it goes. And I think all that meta conversation aside, your old logo looks a lot has the same vibe as the stuff that we had started talking about with the union. What do you call it? Mathematical symbol? Is there a better term for what type of symbol that is?
I think it's just symbolic language. So synthetic biology, if you Google synthetic biology, or actually just if you Google SBOL, SBOL.
SBOL. Just that alone.
Yeah, so
awesome.
Yeah, so that whole, a lot of this is also ties into electronics.
Right.
Yeah, Feynman symbols are cool too.
I'm sorry. You had just said something.
Oh, I just said
Feynman symbols.
So these basically glyphs.
No,
if you just
hold on, there was a title of one that you said that I had pulled up Feynman right at the same time you said it, and I missed it. I'm sorry.
Just SBOL, which is the synthetic biology one.
No, I've got that one. You said one after it.
Just electronics.
Yeah, that was it. What would that be?
Yeah,
would that be? There's a better term
just
here.
Electronic diagrams.
Right, diagrams, and that was it.
Circuitry,
I was gonna say circuit board.
circuitry or whatever.
Yeah, circuit. I don't want diagrams though. I want. This will have embedded symbols in it, I suppose. Maybe that's the point. Things that we can extract as symbol.
Yeah, or logic diagrams is another one. Where it's the.
Go back to that last tab there for a second. There was
just say stop.
one you had there.
Wait, hold on.
The one with all the images. Yeah, on the right hand side. Go back to that one again. There. On that right side there, all the circle pieces. The second row, last image. That one looks kind of interesting as well.
Wow. What the hell? Theory of the anomalous
I just feel like
magnetic
these
moment.
conversations have uncovered so many interesting symbols and logos.
Well, they're all of these things are related though.
I have a. It's funny.
That's what I mean. They're all related and they're all kind of connecting back, somehow.
Well, I like it because it's also why I like crypto, also bio and electronics and all these things. You take these very simple, this, you take these very, very simple things like a promoter, a repressor, and then you just kind of just stack them again with Legos, and you get these very, 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 very complicated things, culminating in with bio, most complicated thing being a person, but that person is just made up of these little bio bricks, which bio bricks are a thing, just like money bricks or money Legos. And it ties into that emergent property thing where you start with just like a few core bricks, and then you just combine those bricks into like, it's basically nothing until it is something. So like,
is there a symbolic indicator of like feature completeness in a way that you just ended there? Like, it's nothing until it is something. Is there a way for these the arrangement of symbols to denote completion or function, or the potential for it?
Not really. No. Like emergent properties are just kind of.
You have to play it out, or whatever the equivalent is.
Yeah, because there is, like with evolution, there is no like pinnacle. Like it just continues. Like we see ourselves as like the pinnacle of evolution, but like it's just going to keep going. So there is no like completeness. It's just constant dynamic.
How cool. I wish I could step into your head and do like pull a Neo Matrix and grok this, because I strongly attracted to symbols and learning how to both. Have you happened to played with sigils yet at all? I don't know your spiritual sigils, yeah. SIGIL, sigil or sigils. It's I don't know. It probably had Urbit. Urbit is using that term for their unique users. I don't know, sigil. That's what they're called. Their user sigil. It's like their little profile image, essentially. I'm
familiar with it.
It's a magical term, but I don't understand magic well enough to necessarily know how much of a corollary there is between, well, like alchemy and magic, are largely the reduction of an understanding of, well, whatever. I don't necessarily want to get into it, but you might enjoy it.
No, so if you've read the Baroque cycle,
right, totally.
So
like Enoch, and I forgot about him. Enoch Red, is that his name? What a great character.
Enoch Root.
Yeah, Root. Thank you.
But like a better one would be just like Isaac Newton.
Sure.
Like he was, and this was also like just a historical thing. Like he was an alchemist. Alchemists just kept doing their thing until they just turned into chemists. And like magic, like these sigils, like if you write these sigils, nothing's gonna happen. Like, because I mean, maybe you disagree, but like magic in the like that kind of way doesn't exist. But if you like write these sigils in like well, like with copper, then like you can kind of create actual magic or like technological magic. And then if you write these sigils in like DNA, like it's DNA, like those promoters, like, yeah, they're complex, but really they're just ATCG, like in specific orders. And then like out of those ATCs and Gs, you get really complex things. And if you get the right order, you get life.
Jacob, you're not gonna play around with some Figma, some sketching.
Are you in Figma? Is that what you said?
No, I was just asking Jacob. I'd love to see him like play around with sketching.
Yeah, totally.
I can barely use Figma. I'm great in InDesign though. But
it was interesting to see who was it? Paul Graham and Butterfield. No, not Butterfield. Stuart. Not Butterfield. Sorry. Stuart. Is it Butterfield? What's the guy's name? The guy that's everywhere. He's old now. He's doing the Long Now Society. Stuart Brand. Sorry. So Stuart Brand and Paul Graham both brought up Isaac Newton recently, and Paul Graham has that. It was a recent essay on, I think genius. Like he's trying to define genius or something to that effect. And he posits it's like I think it's a really it's an elegant sentence that he reduces it down to. It's like an elegant requirement to get there or something like that. It's like dedication to something meaningful that is obscure or something like that. Anyway, they bring up Newton's alchemy as well. The reason Stuart's involved is just because he endorses it. He's like, oh yeah, this is really interesting, and I tweeted at them both because I found it really disappointing that they were so dismissive of alchemy and astrology in Isaac Newton's case, because Isaac Newton believed in both of them, as far as I understand it, up until his death, didn't necessarily agree with the way that his work had distanced the three of them from each other. Like it was like he invented calculus and physics of sorts, and then those took off because they had really good reason to, whereas the other stuff that he was dedicated to, which to him were all related, just fell off. And in his mind, I don't think he would have gotten to one without the other. And so they were basically dismissing it as like the point that Paul was making was, you have to be you have to be completely obsessed with something, essentially, like as one of the requirements. And he was like, well, you can be obsessed with things and they can go nowhere. And look at Newton. He was obsessed with this stuff and it was completely useless because this stuff is nonsense, like clearly, as is evidenced by the fact that we don't use it. Like it's this massive bias. Anyway.
Well, no, like the alchemy, I would say, like it went nowhere because like it could not go nowhere because like it was against like physics. So like you can go like you can be obsessed with things. Like people are obsessed with astrology, and like I've like, just to be clear, like I do not believe in astrology 100% because like just physically like it and logically like it just can't work. But like I've dug deep into kind of like the books and like how people come up with the things and et cetera. And like you can get very obsessed with like just, and as very, very detailed, like with star signs and moon signs and like just, but at the end of the day, like it has no actual like, it doesn't touch the real world. So like you can, it's basically like if you have the sigils, like you can be writing the sigils in ink all you want, but like you just, it's like a cargo cult, is how I would explain it. Like
it's a cargo, it would have to be a cargo cult in reverse. It would be a cargo cult that made cardboard airplanes that eventually became full engines. That's how that's like, part of why I have a problem with the theory that people posit with alchemy. It's like these incredibly brilliant people were just fucking around, getting nowhere, obsessively for centuries. That doesn't map. Like people, like really brilliant people don't become obsessed with things that don't pay off. Like as a creative person who builds things yourself, you know that you wouldn't sink your teeth into something that didn't...
So that's not why you do it though. Like it's not trying to like
what dividends were they seeing if...
So like the reason I can speak to Isaac Newton because I studied him a bit, but like the reason he was going after alchemy was not to like get something that paid off. He didn't actually push calculus, but like it was because he's trying to get to a deeper understanding of how the world is. and for him specifically, it was like trying to come to a deeper understanding of like God. So he's very, very, very religious.
Mm-hmm.
And so like that's why like he was trying to like basically do all this stuff. So like to his mind, it was like if he could understand the world, he could understand God. And like the alchemy, like most alchemists, let's be real, they were just trying to turn lead into gold. So like the transubstantiation of, funny enough, we have to also do a sort of transubstantiation from security to non-security.
Yeah, I'm curious if you've read much on or seen much about. Well, it's funny because we're already talking about symbolic logic and symbols as these block units that, as you add them together, they become something that they couldn't have been alone or in the wrong arrangement. And like Jung pushes a recommendation that you should try and live symbolically. Like symbolic living is a can the U symbol have a flat bottom, or does it really have to be like half a circle perfectly? Oops, sorry to change topics quickly like that. Can the are you waiting to see it? Is that what the
Yeah, I think it can have a flat bottom.
So cool, thank you.
It's also kind of a test tube.
Right, true. So Jung got really into alchemy. He uses it and astrology foundationally for a lot of his stuff. And what winds up coming to light is that the alchemists weren't... So when you say like they were all trying to convert lead into gold, I think there's a lot of truth there. And there were certainly a lot of people... Like there's like I think you could call it something like a great filtering mechanism, where there is something called correspondences. When you get into like alchemy or like wizardry or sorcery or witchcraft or symbolic thinking, perennial philosophy, astrology, you start having to accept that there are different layers to reality and that they are all related to each other. So something like the mental layer is built on top of the physical layer. The emotional layer would be built on top of the physical layer. Physical being something more like sensory. What actually is real becomes difficult to assess given that we only have our five senses to rely on. So that is its own layer. Like our sensory input is its own layer, and then you can build stuff on top of that. Above mental would be spiritual. And so part of correspondences is that things like herbs and roots and foods and animals and etc. all actually relate to different things that have symbolic higher and lower meanings. So what happens with alchemy is that gold is their symbol for purity, for like perfection, for like the crystalline perfection of the ultimate reality, isn't it? Like something to that effect. And that wasn't just for the gold itself, that was for them going through the process of creating it. So alchemy wasn't just a chemical process, it was an internal process and a spiritual process. And whenever you read an alchemical text, it has a double interpretation of not just what they're doing to like mercury and silver. Silver and mercury have emotional, physical, and spiritual correspondences that in order to be a successful alchemist, quote unquote, you had to go through. It required incredible patience, dedication, intelligence. You had to learn like where all the stars were. You had to be like physically disciplined. You had to wake up at all times of day to like make certain. It was like a huge pain in the ass, but it taught you all of these things about the world, and etc.
But except, just push back. Like at the end of the day, like all of those like practices and traditions and things that they have like did, at the end of the day they did not accomplish their goal, which is like to create gold, when in reality now we do know how to create gold.
You
Like,
can only say
it's
that
a
they
li-
didn't create gold if you take it literally.
Oh, I take everything literally.
Well, it's funny listening to you. It's like, yeah, none of this
Well,
stuff
like,
can be proved like rationally or with reason. It's like, yeah, absolutely, they cannot be proved with ration or reason.
well, so my issue with it is possible to create gold from lead. Like, you can do that. You just need a star. Like, but we can now harness the power of stars to create things. And, like-
I'm not sure how that's an issue. Or what do you mean by that? Like your issue?
My issue with alchemy is like alchemy, like either alchemy is religion, and it has no kind of like connection to like the physical, or if you follow this like I guess process, like either the goal is to go from lead to gold, or the goal is to like just kind of do this cargo cult. And I think the goal is to turn lead into gold. They just were missing this like fundamental understanding of how the like the universe actually works, which turned it into like, well, not turned into cargo cults because there wasn't a thing to precede it, but because it is possible to use these like symbology and practices, and if you do X and Y, like anyone who's done biology knows, like you mix transparent water with transparent water with transparent water, and then you do that enough time, and then you can create light.
I don't understand that. What transparent water are you mixing? That's creating
Oh,
light.
so like if you ever looked at molecular biology and what it is in practice, you're literally it just looks like you're pipetting transparent water around. When in reality, there's things in the water like DNA.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
And certain microorganisms. But to someone like Isaac Newton, like if they literally saw it, they would just see me pipetting water around, heating it up for a period of time, mixing it with some sort of something else, and then light or magic. But Isaac Newton, like, because he doesn't have the proper understanding, would see, like, he would just see the actual actions, but he'd be missing the proper understanding. So, like,
I think that it's all, to me that sounds like there is an understanding to be had. I don't know why one type of understanding has to be exclusionary to another.
But it's not. It's just,
in your experience, the one.
so there's
So
this is off. This is quite a tangent, but like,
well, we're working with symbols
like
anyway. Plus, I'm drawing, so it's okay.
Liam, you still there?
Yeah, I just don't really have anything to add.
So I was just saying, like, things we don't understand are this like supernatural, but if you understand it, for some reason it brings it down into the natural, when in reality I would say like everything is just natural. Our understanding is just limited or not limited. And like, so like, it's why like I have an issue with astrology, because like things like the stars being aligned in a certain way don't control people, because like, I mean, that's not how things work. But I think it's just people trying to find an understanding of like these chaotic systems, or like just trying to put some sort of rationale or reason on chaos.
Does it bother you that you sound as certain of your cosmology as anyone sounds of their cosmology generally?
Oh, I'm not certain at all about like a lot of things.
Well, you sound pretty certain about that. I don't know. I just
Well, so like
that would bother me. I just don't
You
know
take
why.
two-
Like you're just like
you
the,
take-
the universe doesn't work that way. Like
think about
how would
you have
you?
two
How would
people
you
born-
know? How would you know how the universe works? You have evidence that it works in certain ways, but people have had evidence for as long as there have been people.
Well, so take two people born on the same day, at the same hour.
Looking at the specifics of why astrology may or may not work according to your reason isn't enough of a reason for me to discount astrology for the same reasons I just said. Like your ability to anyone's ability to like find fault with something to the point where it satisfies their own requirements is not enough of like my own ability does not teach me that I'm right, I guess, because I can
No,
see
it goes the other way. It goes the other way.
No, it doesn't.
So like, yeah, you don't believe in a thing and then try to disprove it. Like, you have to prove it in order to believe in it.
No, you don't.
I mean, then you can believe in anything.
You can. I think you can try and maintain an air of openness and try and get into the mindset of people who believe things. I'm just saying, like, for instance, within, like, Jungian depth psychology, being able to understand astrology is extremely useful and opens new insights that you would not be capable of if you limit yourself to saying, I know how the universe works. Because, like, a lot of people feel very differently about how things work. And that has been true for a very long time. And that doesn't mean that they were, like, primitive. It means that we just start from different biases.
At the same time, so you do have to kind of, well, currently things are a bit post-facts. But, like, we all do share, we can get metaphysical, but, like, avoiding the, like, getting too meta, like, we do all share, like, a reality. Like, we all share the same simulation. And ion.
Well, if we abstract it enough, I think we can kind of do whatever with the shapes. Like, they don't have to necessarily go in the right order. Like, for instance, this thing is the two ends. And then I was thinking it might be cool to try and highlight the IO as like IO or like ones and zeros. It gets a little silly because then they read it as a 1 instead of an I. But
well, that can get into the 2 sigma.
Yeah.
Well, that looks like a 10, not an IO.
Right, that's the other thing that happens.
Yeah, minus the serif is, or I guess
But it,
What-
I mean,
what-
I was thinking ones and zeros in the form of digits. I think we could get, I mean, obviously, if we separated them, we'd get away from the 10. I don't know, so maybe to pause metaphysics momentarily, because actually, this is like, we just happen to be touching on something that I spend a lot of my time on. Because just for what it's worth, like, I think similar to you, a lot of what I'm working on is trying to understand different cosmologies of different belief systems and how they're expressed through things like diagrams and symbols and charts. Like, for instance, like, I have always found astrology to be extremely tacky and stupid. But then as part of, like, this broader project of mine, I've sort of forced myself to get into it. And now that I'm in it, not only has it turned into being quite beautiful, but also incredibly elegant. Like, the structure of astrology, if you can get over, like, not being into what it implies about what you know about the physical reality, whoever designed it and how it has been designed over time is extremely useful to understand, because it kind of allows you to understand the different types of people. It's the basis of, like, the Myers-Briggs personality type, because that was developed by Jung, who understood astrology And you can
Which,
imagine
yeah,
basically
is
like a
equally-
series of toggles that you can turn on and off. Like let's say you have 4 toggles, you have 16 types, and that's MBTI. And astrology is basically the same thing, just with maybe like, 100x more variables as you learn more and more. And just like the way
Yeah,
that the diagrams
so-
come together, it's like, holy shit. And you just can't, and what I have found is that if I come to it with like, oh, I know, it's just very hard to look at it as anything but tacky and stupid.
Well, no,
Whereas
so
if-
I would, just to walk back my, like, because, yeah, like, scientist, astrology, like, yeah, is a thing. But, so, like, my issue with Myers-Briggs, I don't really have an issue with it, but, like, it doesn't give you a, like, it doesn't come to a truth. Like, you can't take Myers-Briggs and actually. So, like, Myers-Briggs, just for the record, has a fundamental, like, has the same connection to, like, actual, like, psychology as astrology, like, does.
I know, man. I'm not saying that Myers-Briggs is some great system, but again,
No.
it's just.
What I'm saying is,
it's like
the-
the world is full of flawed systems that all
Let me-
kind of add
let me-
up to what to a system that's actually working, which is reality itself to some degree. It's like, yeah, I know that.
I was just saying,
I know that Myers-Briggs is kind of funky.
continue so it can bring it back. So, like, astrology is neat in that, like, it does give you, because people believe in astrology. So, like, people believe, I'm actually interested because people believe in astrology more than they believe in, like, well, science on a grand scheme of things. So it does tap into something like that's fundamentally human that is missing from
Science.
but like, because like people don't see the magic in science, but like they see the magic. Or like,
Science doesn't have all the magic either. Science is an expression of a
science-
certain. Science is an expression of a certain mode of thinking. It's like the tree versus the net. It's active. It's active versus receptive.
no, it's understanding.
I know, and understanding is a very specific thing. There are
Well, like-
there are modes of understanding that do not rely on that type of understanding. There are ways of knowing that don't rely on me being specific and demanding hard truths or answers or things that someone can put in front of me with like a measurement. Like there are in
No,
most
so
of
I
the,
think you're missing like a key thing. It's the like science, like to scientists, or like it's a thing that I don't know. I wish more people could kind of like just get is like science is the magic. Like if you don't have like the like maybe like skip using the word science, but like if you just have the symbols, you just have symbols and you just have ink on a page. But like things get so much more exciting when like you have like the fundamental understanding that turns the like symbols on the page into like a jet or like a piece of silicone and metal that like is able to be used to like broadcast images across thousands of miles across multiple time zones. So like
you agree
that's
that
magic.
you agree that science gives you access to magic. Do you agree though that not everyone has, like you started that thought with the notion that you wish everyone could experience science in the same way that scientists do? Science is a church of people who think like scientists. It is a way of approaching things that gives you access to a type of knowing that is delightful and wonderful, and not everyone thinks that way. There's an entire humanity here that relates to the same topic, and different people have different ways of accessing this type of understanding or place of in the world.
Yeah, but like
And scientists will insist that theirs is the most legitimate because theirs is the one that manipulates the simulation that we all have access to, or is mostly just like the preferred cultural story that we're all a part of right now. So I agree that science.
I would say, so alchemists weren't like a very open bunch. Like they weren't like they closely guarded their secrets. Science is pretty open, but like I don't have a problem. Actually, I do have a problem with astrology rather. The biggest one being like it puts you as like a non-player. Basically, it makes you an NPC. Like the reason things are the way that they are, and the reason your day is going to be the way that it is because of astrology. And a lot of it tends to be just self-fulfilling prophecies, which is the part that I find interesting.
That's not true. Not all astrology says anything like that. But also you could say the same thing for something like accelerationism or Deleuze and Guattari or whatever. Like they're all saying that we're all part of... Like you don't have to be religious or spiritual or a quack to think that we're locked into a determinist state, you know? Like I think that's more of just like a mental exercise that some people insist on putting themselves through. You don't have to be into astrology to think that you're at the mercy of whatever you're a part of.
Astrology doesn't have like a monopoly on like determinism.
Yeah, and monopoly doesn't have a monopoly on people insisting that they don't like. Astrology is more like the context in which you can exercise your free will. So, like they might say.
And just FYI, there's a lot of astrology in science. Like, because there's a lot of wrong people in science, or people who believe it is just because they believe it is, and then they'll spend like 20 years on that thing. But then nothing comes of it because they were wrong. But like that person spending 20 years on a wrong belief is just as important as all the rest. Because like Isaac Newton could have been wrong about he was wrong about most things. It just happened that like the tool he developed to kind of try to figure out that was very useful and important. So like with money Legos, just to bring it back to like, that was a bit of a tangent. But yeah,
I think that should have been streamed. It's a shame that wasn't streamed.
Well, it's recorded. If you ever want to check in on our digression, that was only mildly awkward, I hope. Sorry, like I said, I'm actually really Jacob, for what it's worth, I'm really enjoying. I was already enjoying listening to you speak, and then getting off on this topic kind of became like a conversation I didn't expect to want to have.
Like just to bring it back and kind of give you some context, like I'm, just for the record, like astrology, like stars being aligned in a certain way, like maybe it has some sort of like effect, but like in reality it's more like your belief that like them being aligned in a certain way has a larger effect. And like I don't ever like come into a thing being like I know what it is. Like I only try to have, like, obviously I'm not perfect, but like I try to just basically I try to understand the thing. So like I come from a very religious background, i.e. Catholicism. And like I would never say something is incorrect. Like no scientist would ever say something is wrong. They would say it's highly unlikely. But like it always leaves open this possibility that that is true. And then like astrology is just an interesting thing because like also because it ties into the pseudoscience. Because for some reason pseudoscience and what's the one with where you dilute the thing?
Homeopathy?
Homeopathy. Yeah, like people believe in homeopathy. And like they spend money on it. They sell it in stores. They spend a lot of like time and money to like sell basically like it's literally just sugar pills.
Are we gonna start talking about placebos? Sorry.
No. Oh no, this is something other than
I know. And also, just because you're grouping homeopathy with, like, I don't know, I could start. Yeah, I don't know. It's an odd. I don't know. For me, it's slightly.
So like homeopathy is an easy one because like just
here's these other people that were wrong. Therefore,
no. So it's homeopathy because like biologically, like it's like we have the tools in which to see whether there is a biological effect because it's biology, and like diluting a thing down to where it's negligible would mean it has less effect because yeah, that's how biology and chemistry works.
But you're making the same argument. Not that I don't
But,
have
like,
any opinion on
so
homeopathy.
I want to bring it back to something that's like
All right.
kind of the point that I was making because
that didn't work at all.
like there's no value in kind of just ragging on people who don't have a proper understanding of science. Like that's nothing to be gained there.
As though science is the
something-
way that they should be thinking about everything. That's so funny.
But I do think there is something to be gained by like how is pseudoscience, like homeopathy, able to reach people, while at the same time you have scientists who have like basically you have people who make the decision between like a vaccine which will like provably cure the disease, which like is kind of magic. It's like a miracle in and of itself. Like you take the disease, you take this thing, it will cure it. And people will pick the like sugar pill, the homeopathy, over the vaccine. And like that, and trying to come to an understanding of kind of like why people make one or the other choice is kind of interesting to me. Because it's
kind of
tapping
see
into
on that side though. Like in that, I guess in that particular example, it's like because people don't understand science even more so, because like for them to try and understand it, there is more, I guess, logic behind it. So it's a lot deeper. Whereas like the homeopathy stuff, it's still
like
very
they
surface level. It's like you take this and it does that, and it's just very simple in what it's
Like-
trying to do.
Oh, that's a good way to frame it. Like, people believe a truth that they understand more than like a truth that they don't understand. Yeah. Anyway, that was way off topic. I'm gonna save this for a podcast. That's why I worry about going on podcasts.
Nice. The
I don't know, what would be valuable for us to kind of help with like the actual iconography?
I'm sketching stuff right now as well in Figma.
Oh, nice.
I came up with something pretty cool, like a cool symbol that kind of worked off the stuff you were working on, Ben. But it reminds me of one of those kind of sigils in a way as well. I guess it's kind of similar to this one you have in the middle with the 3 circles and the... Hang on, let me try to share it one sec.
Where have you shared the Figma?
No, actually I'll share it one sec.
Yeah, I do like the sigils because like they seem a lot more feminine or like emotional.
That's so ironic that you say that. Emotional as like an anti-science. Which I think, like, to answer your question, I would say some people would be drawn to something like homeopathy because it's framed as pseudoscience, in the sense of not everyone trusts science, not everyone instinctually is drawn to that understanding of the world, and so it's sort of like if you live in a culture that frames things that way, you're probably going to start getting drawn to things that are negatively associated with the thing that you distrust, which is
is
unfortunate.
I
like
think
you're
it's a
saying.
shame. Yeah.
But
because a lot of science does have this like
these are great.
It's why I love Feynman, because like he like in his diagrams Ooh, these are kind of like the pyramid. Very shieldy.
Shield like Marvel reference, or shield like? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't notice this one. Yeah,
Oh no,
shielded.
it's literally just a shield.
Yeah. There's a lot of cool. I mean, you can do shield silhouette without being quite so shield about it. I know I'm frazzled because I can't spell silhouette. I can use, that's usually one of my words that I can actually spell, and I always feel proud about it. Oh, this makes me. What was that horrible? Was that HTML5 that had that stupid orange shield? God, I hate that logo. I think we can't do a shield just because of that logo.
Well, so I don't think we should do a shield because
it's weird.
Like, it's very much like like it's got the wrong vibe because it's a shield. Like, a shield is a thing you use to defend something.
Yeah.
When we want to like be embrace. So,
I guess my bias at the moment for the work I'm doing is that I feel like what I'm playing with is gonna work out. Because in my mind I can kind of see that it has a bunch of. It's hitting a few different marks that we're going for, and let me just try and describe it, even though you've been staring at me futzing with it. What I'm trying to do is do something like, why would I have that? Something like maybe this, but with an abstracted version of the letters of the name. So we have the two N's, which could maybe be just one N, and then we have the 1 and the 0, or the I and the 0. So that's 3 or 4 different shapes. And then putting those inside the Union math symbol as the container, all of which might need to go in its own container. Like maybe this all needs to go into its own, like a lozenge. Lozenge shapes is always kind of like a nice, hold on, club look, hold on, 1, 2, 3, I'll show you what I mean. And then what I'm thinking is that if we can pull, like imagine this if it was actually any good. I think because these symbols are so simple, like the N's have simple geometry and the O and the I do as well, the U does too. I think we can reduce them down to like some really simple shapes. The whole thing can kind of look like a lab, and then maybe we can do some sort of pattern where there's like equations mixed in with geometry, mixed in with some circles that kind of look like people's heads or shoulders or that kind of stuff. Like basically trying to recreate maybe some groups that feel like they're in a space based on the same geometries that we're using in the logo. And then I guess the final detail I just want to add is that the reason I keep playing with line widths is just because I'm thinking that if the part of where this started was that the U is such a generic shape, how do we make it read as like a math symbol or like a symbol symbolic logic symbol? And I think the way that we would do it is through contrast. Like if we can have some other shapes in there that have either fill or thicker line weight, then in comparison the U might look like it's because it just looks like the symbol's always kind of a thin line type thing. So that's why I keep futzing with that too. So that's where I'm going, and I feel like it's gonna work. I guess is like I can see it in the top left of your site, just kind of like a contemporary club weird math geometry thing that's black and white mostly, and so I'm just sort of messing around until I get closer and closer. I
don't think it's got the right like. I don't know. Like I look at it and it's kind of whatever, which is not great advice, but
yeah, I hear that. It's not. You're not supposed to try and not think of it in terms of what you're looking at. Try and think of it in terms of what I just described, because it would be better to talk about what I'm describing than it would what I'm looking at. Because this, I agree, this isn't very good. But if, for instance, we were able to get, if we could get it so it looks like one of those monograms, and it also has a math symbol built into it, and then it's also got the rest of the letters of the name, but sort of abstract. Maybe you don't quite read them as the letters, maybe you do. To me, that seems like it would hit a lot of the goals that we have for a successful mark. Because it would attract the dev set by having a math joke built into it. It would look like a club, and it would look futuristic because we're not going to use actual recognizable shapes if we can help it, and maybe we'll put some like nice gradients or some shit in there. How does that sound?
I wonder if, like, what do you think about, like, because the fact that we're basically, the direction right now at least is basically maintaining the text within the logo, so like the letters of the name within the logo. Are there also like some ideas we can explore more on the shape side rather than specifically reading the name anywhere? Do you know what I mean?
You're right, but I still want a response to what I'm saying, because I want, like, to me that does sound good, and I agree that that is a path that we should try out, where it's like, forget the name, let's just try some shapes and symbols that are additive or not just the word repeated.
No, but I get exactly what you mean in terms of the concept.
So you're saying then, take what I just described, but stop worrying so much about having the name repeated within it?
Yeah.
Word. So if I go that route, what would you see happening? Like, would you keep the U?
I don't know. I think.
I think. I mean, with the mathematical shapes or like the other symbols, or web of trust, might get better shapes. So like just a network web.
I guess I kind of wonder if it can become like more kind of metaphorical, like, you know, off the back of a lot of these conversations we've had, it feels like there should be like some good metaphors we could play with based on the symbology and based on, you know, just basically everything we've spoken about today. So using like metaphor to form as elements to form a logo, as opposed to using purely text, or yeah,
because I think the direction that we're kind of going is Urbit, if you're familiar with them, which is going way too far down the deep end of esoteric. I'm not saying that's where we are now. I'm saying Urbit is down like the esoteric route. Oh, it looks like a person.
Urbit as esoteric. That's cool.
Or I don't know if you've tried to dive into Urbit.
Not really. I love their aesthetic. They seem fascinating.
Yeah, they take very simple, easy to kind of explain things, and then make them hard to explain by calling things servers planets, and bigger servers of servers like galaxies.
Stars and comets are like the ephemeral usernames for something.
I don't know.
I tried to set up my own one, and then I was like reading through the documentation, and I was confused by that. Like all of the terminologies they introduced, I was lost straight away, you know. But I actually still love it as a concept for some reason. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a similar experience. I like started reading what it would take to set one up, and I was like, no, I don't care enough to learn a new set of ways of thinking about things.
Yeah, like I've been in crypto since like at least 2012, and I still just like.
But in saying
just
that, Jacob,
can't be
you said
asked.
you don't like. You said that you don't want to go that direction, like the Urbit style direction. But to be honest, in terms of like their aesthetic and their brand, I don't see anything wrong with those in particular. Like the problem for me is more in the technology or the the way that they market themselves.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're Tilde. Yeah, I mean, I don't hate their brand. Or sorry, their
logo.
Oh yeah. Also, their new site is half decent. Well, no, it's pretty good. I'll give them credit for that.
Talon one.
The one where it's just like some.
Talon.
That's not it. I don't know their URL. Apparently.
Urbit.org.
No, that's it. You got the right one, Ben.
No, I really like. I love this aesthetic, and if you check Talon as well, TLON .io. This is the one that'll be easier for you, Ben, and myself. It's like a hosted version of Urbit.
I thought, isn't Telon the company that owns Urbit? I guess not.
Yeah. Yeah, it actually kind of is, yeah.
Yeah, this is really nice.
Yeah, so like both of those have the right feel. Sadly, neither of them have the logo.
But what was Telon's logo?
Yeah, where is their logo gone, actually? Yeah.
It's just a tilde in a circle. Oh, Telon? I don't know.
It's the Urbit logo.
Just looks like 3 dots.
I don't know if that's probably not the same Telon. It looks like it's another country or something.
It's the Urbit one is the tilde within the circle.
You.
If you like, we also, I guess, don't need to watch you if you don't want, Ben. Like, we could leave you to do that if that's easier. I don't know. What do you prefer?
It's funny how this looks like a smile when it's on its own. The club silhouette, like you can, it doesn't take much necessarily to reference something like a club. Like even, I'll have to maybe look again, but even something like an outline is going to give you some of that. Something like a stamp or a certificate. What are some of the artifacts that you would get when you joined a club?
A signet ring or rings. A jacket. Hat. Oh, card.
Is there anything in that secret handshake thing that we spoke about before?
Ooh, secret Dakota ring.
Artifact, no?
Like that Dakota ringer in Christmas Story? which brings it back down to like, oh, actually,
Liam, thanks for the offer. We'll take another break at some point. I'll draw on my own.
Yeah, no, it's just because I know it feel like, I don't know, maybe you're more familiar with this, but the pressure you can feel sometimes when people are just watching you.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like weird and intense. I'm trying to get used to it though, because I do find these sessions to be, there's just a lot of what's a good term, like not dark horse, or like I guess like black swan, like tiny black swan moments or something, where like I could not have anticipated certain thoughts or things that the client or the audience sees, that takes us into the right direction much more quickly than I could have gotten by myself. Like even if I can draw better or think better when I'm on my own, it seems like these collaborative sessions are so productive that it's just it balances it out in favor of the project, whereas I might feel slightly embarrassed the whole time. It's like, it's okay, because I think I'm trying to get down to like a platonic ideal of what it takes to, like, you could build like a good dev with like leadership next to them could build like a cool web app in like a really intense day, plus like some padding on either side of it, which is kind of how I think about this. Like an identity for a startup shouldn't be more than like a really tangible project for someone who's done it a few times and people who know what they're trying to get to. So yeah, it's like in the same way that a programmer having someone over their shoulder at a hackathon kind of sucks. It's like, I don't know, it's like, it's okay. It's kind of the point. Anyway, I'm trying to do like a little Starfield thing here.
The stars are actually really difficult to do.
Stars are difficult, you said?
Yeah, I feel like stars are kind of difficult to just make. Like you kind of need I feel like I always need a reference to make them good. I don't know.
Well, the nice thing about the way I do them generally is that they don't necessarily look like anything as much as like it doesn't necessarily have to be a Starfield as much as it might just be like a texture or a light effect or just like a handmade detail or something. I don't know. You can kind of just sprinkle stuff around randomly sometimes, or maybe I've just done it enough times that I don't stress it. Because really you're just like, we can always refine it later. I'm just trying to see if there's any way that we can highlight the U, or like put some stuff around it so that it feels like the fact that Union, like in the same way that the 2 Sigma one worked so well. It's like, do we necessarily need to be doing more than just presenting the U really well, so that it's both, it reads and it hits these other marks that we're looking for. Not that I understand that we want to try and do some metaphorical stuff and what have you, but there's like, why look a gift horse in the face, you know, type thing. Whatever that phrase is. What do you think about that, Jacob? Like, if we did pull off a successful U symbol that felt how we needed to, while still use that as the baseline.
I mean, my issue with it is, one, it evokes no emotions at all. Like, I even know what a union is, and like, I'm just like, it's a U.
Mm-hmm.
And like, seeing a U doesn't invoke anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'd have to figure out how to pad it. You're right.
I really think we should kind of, like, do you know what a network looks like?
Do I know what a network looks like? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, like a network
what
graph.
type of network?
Just like
Just like interconnected nodes or whatever.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep, I can pull some of that kind of stuff up. I'm just pulling these back around as a reminder of the feelings that we're trying to hit for myself to look at. Yeah, I think I'm in coffee shop space a little bit. I mean, this is a little bit futuristic coffee shop, for sure. But we will try. So the two things that we have on the table that are on our request lists are metaphor and network. So do I want to... I just did some network stuff. I'm just going to go grab that because I don't think any of it's going to get used anyway. Yeah. I'm not sure if this is the type of network thing that you had in mind, but...
No, because the network always has... Each node has an edge, and each edge has a node.
Well, it's like with this, isn't it?
Yeah, but you wouldn't have edges going to nowhere.
And what edges are going... well, hold on. Let me just grab these, and then you can just tell me. Maybe why don't you? Would you mind pulling up a network graph that feels like what you're looking for?
Also, like an edge. Edge is just the word for the line in between two nodes.
Yep.
And you can't have a line between two nodes without it being connected on both sides.
Okay, yeah. I mean, there's... well, hold on. Before I react, let me make sure I'm actually just curious. Say that again. Like the technical requirement for having an accurate connection between edges and nodes is that... Say it again. I'm sorry.
Also, an edge is the line between two nodes.
Yep.
So you can't have an edge between a node and then nowhere. So you need two circles on each side of each edge. Or sorry, each node.
Yeah. Where did you see edges going nowhere in this one?
Just kind of on the gradient. So like, yeah, like I'm sure they're in the ether on like outside of it, but just...
Oh, yeah, that was just the pattern like fading out.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying.
Okay.
That's what makes it look less like a network and more like just...
Well, it's got to stop somehow. In this, I mean, it's like it's either going to be a hard crop or... I mean, I think there were reasons we were doing fade on that one. But okay, so aside from that, then is this the kind of network that you had in mind? You know, stylistically not, but is this?
Yeah, just drop the link in the chat.
All right. I mean, there's I could do like something more loose. That's just like, actually that would make more sense. Let me try and draw one that's actually relevant. If I can find our chat. I hate that. It's funny too because I don't think this is gonna. It's inconsistent and it used to be that the tab that had audio had a little diamond next to the name in the list, but now it doesn't do that. Where the hell are you? Oh, there you are. Back where I started. Okay. Yeah, see this, right. So these are much more like organic, chaotic, which I was saying I can... The thing about this is what was going on in my head is that this might be a a network graph, but this looks anonymous or like non-local. This looks like a massive group of people as opposed to what you're going for, which is like the club vibe, which is like friends talking together, which is much more like this, although even this doesn't really look all that intimate. Obviously the most intimate is going to be something centralized or like...
Yeah, which might not be easy to show in 16 by 16.
Well, like, this is, equal relationship between 4 people. So that's cool. And of course, pyramids are... What is this? There's I don't know what the term for it. A trilateral pyramid or something? Quadrilateral?
I just realized I've been muted for so long.
Oh no.
But yeah, sorry. I was saying stuff like, in a way, like the stars are kind of also like a network, right?
Yeah,
just without
Big Dipper and such.
The lines.
The lines that are there that aren't.
Yeah. But one thing that I think is also kind of, I don't know, not cool about the network thing is that it's just so blockchain. Like it's just incredibly blockchain straight away,
Yeah, I would agree with that.
It's like back when crypto projects started and like everyone just had this JavaScript thing in their header that was like these floating nodes and like this like interactive animation in the hero. You know that one?
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
That's just what I think about.
I mean, I don't like I generally try and not dismiss stuff just because it's trendy or not trendy or what have you, because generally if you in your gut feel like something is of interesting or relevant or attractive direction, it's going to be fed through your own lens. Like we're going to pull it and then it's going to go through the the prismatic experience of being drawn by me and being guided by you, and like we're going to add in our own spices to this recipe.
Yeah.
So for instance, in this case, it's like, well, could we do... What would the Victorian Cocoa House version of a network graph be? And can we get both? Would be the kind of question that I would try and ask if like Jacob was really into network graphs, as a representation of a group of, because it's relevant. Like people sitting at a table, there's actually this phenomenal designer who started, well, whatever, I won't get into it. She just started doing really cool information graphics overlaid on top of everyday scenes. It kind of looks like this. That's why I came to mind. Anyway. Yeah. This is the problem here, is that this is an interesting representation of a local group, but this doesn't have any connection to a larger network. So we would need to, like, this is funny, right? What's happening right now in my mind is sort of funny because we're trying to combine these two completely, historically unrelated eras. But this kind of looks like, Knights Templar, or just doing it symmetrically with circles and lines starts to reference other things like we've already looked at with sigils and whatever. So it's already starting to look like there's potential, which is funny.
I feel like, as you said as well, it's like if you just have it closed like this, it's not global. But yeah, when you add lines, like even if you added completely vertical and horizontal lines out of it, it kind of implies, Jacob said there's no line without a node. So, it's implying that there is a node elsewhere without it being visible.
I don't know if Jacob's gonna let me get away with fading lines out on the nodes. Can we imply that they're gonna connect to nodes that aren't actually shown? You'll have to let me know.
They could even be just like a lighter shade, so it's instead of just like a lighter shade of white or a shade of gray, you know?
Yeah, for sure. We can also do more nodes. We don't have to limit it to just C's. And then with color, we can set them back or forward if we want to. What was I going to... Oh, that's not what I wanted. I wanted to do... This 100%, to me, Jacob, looks like something that I would start to expect to see in the Baroque cycle. Like a... Royal Society. That's a big... That's one of the things I was trying to come to mind. Like some sort of like one of the old alchemist, new scientist people is wearing like a ring that has something like this on it. It's like a map of the stars.
That science group has the right vibe. Like the Royal Society before it was the Royal Society. It was just a bunch of people futzing around during the plague. I just shared 2 links.
Cool. Hold on.
Kind of inspired by you saying, like, what does a network graph look like back in the time of the Cocoa Club? So this is from Ada Lovelace's notebook.
I'm sorry, whose notebook?
Ada Lovelace.
Who's that? Oh, Ava Lovelace. Got it.
Ada Lovelace.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'd said it wrong, but I know I do know who you're talking about. Ava Lovelace, right?
Yeah, so these are... Well, that dog-looking thing is kind of a similar diagram to kind of the... I guess before it was formalized. So like the electronic logic or transistor logic.
Jeez. You can see a neat faded outline behind this torso here. This non-torso. There's this square with an X through it, and then maybe it's almost this shape right here, but it's slightly different. I don't know if that shape.
Yeah, I see.
Oops.
What about just making this little dog creature the logo? Bad idea, good idea, awful idea?
If it speaks to you, man, that's the kind of... I mean, that's like... Yeah, I mean, honestly, it would probably be a phenomenal logo just because of how weird it would be. And then people would... The moment you saw it, you'd be like... At least within the communities that you need to be attracted to up front, it's like... It would speak to strong... Like, Rome Research, for instance, their logo sucks. It's like that weird compass thing. I don't remember the name. But it does speak to, like, an eccentric founder who did his own logo. Like, that's what it looks like. Which I think, in some cases, is kind of like best case scenario. And it would be super unique and, like, kind of ugly in its own memorable way. I'm not recommending you do it. I think you were probably kidding. But for what it's worth, I think calls like that... Like, calls built on gut and vision are great, generally, you know? Like, aesthetics will follow, or people getting used to it will follow. It's much more comfortable for you guys to love what you got, or to believe in it, or what have you. I think ideally maybe this would even, like, you wouldn't... Let's just say that it's like, oh, wow, this symbol is perfect, and it's got this great history, and we can tell people it's Lovelace, and... I think ideally maybe it would even have slightly more hand doneness, like hers is, you know, hand drawn, so it's got lots of nice, you know, beautiful little imperfections in it. that might be fun to try and get back in there, either through slightly wonky line work or varying line widths. Like if this was, that kind of thing. Anything human, I think, is going to work well for you, just because Union has a lot of baggage. Like, it just has a lot of different meanings to different people. So the more you can instantly be recognized as, not necessarily labor union, not necessarily marriage counseling. I don't know. Okay, so we got that. This one's really nice. You'll like this one I did yesterday for... where is that? On the live stream with Mirror.
I keep missing your live streams.
Well, I keep doing them late at night.
I wanted to watch that one. That makes sense.
Where is it? That's odd. It's worth it, I promise. I'll find it.
Is there a thing, just to answer me as well, Jacob, the whole mechanic for becoming a union member with the 3 vouchers? Is that going to be a concept that lives forever? Like, is that...
No. I was even thinking that maybe we don't, like, it might even make sense that we don't have that in the contract.
Right.
Like, we could just have it in the UI.
That's cool, by the way, Ben.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
That came out well. It's just very strange.
A lattice.
Yeah, like a crystalline network.
Yeah. Glass and sugar.
So we don't want to do anything with 3s.
That's what it wasn't. It was more that we had the 4 here, and then I was just thinking, like maybe it's more of a 3 thing considering the mechanic, but it seems it's not an important mechanic necessarily.
Yeah. What? I'm just gonna do something. Are there any other? Was the early dog transistor symbol the only thing you wanted to point out here, or was there other stuff here? You had said that you had started looking into network diagrams in the age of...
There's also the
Cocoa
U
Puffs.
shape at the top right there as well. See the U shape
Yeah,
at the top
yeah.
right?
That I had seen that as a circle that didn't get completed off the edge of the scan or whatever, but yeah, totally. That looks like that kind of looks like a sun setting or rising over a U, like a valley.
Yeah.
If that's at all interesting, it'd be a cool reference. It's like, yeah, we got this great symbol for the future of mankind from a old sketchbook of such and such. It would be something like is this gonna work?
I mean, my issue with the U is it's going to be not great on the little circle icon.
The issue with the U is that it's not going to be great on the little circle icon. Which little circle icon?
So like imagine CoinGecko.
Oh, the fav icon?
Like the token icon.
Why wouldn't the U be good there? Or what do you mean by that?
I think it just means it's smaller sizes.
Yeah.
Well, nothing looks good at that size generally. I mean, it's all gonna. I mean, everything kind of has to cope to some degree, and I don't know why the U would be especially poorly
Well,
set
just
up for
as
it.
like thin lined things tend to not like show up as well.
I don't know. I don't know if that's true. It just has to be done with like considering that it has to be displayed at small sizes. If you do that, then it can totally look good in those circumstances.
Maybe.
There's definitely already coins that have a U in their logo as well. And maybe if you just type U in the search bar at the top.
Mm. I can't think of any.
There's
There definitely is. This U-Trust is one of them.
Yeah, that one doesn't like. I don't even know what that logo is.
Yeah.
But like, look
I'm pretty
at
sure it's just a U and like.
yeah, but like look at Polkadot. Like it's kind of a terrible one.
We are somewhat committed to doing a line work mark in the sense of, I mean, not actually committed, but like that type of mark is the type that I think hits the reference points that we're looking for, and it's also
Oh no, line work. I'm not saying negative on the line work. I'm just saying like
what's going on here?
like if you have a circle and then you have a U inside the circle, like
This is really annoying.
that the bottom of the U is going to have to be like the bottom of the circle, so it just looks like you drew half a circle inside of a circle.
Yeah, I understand the awkwardness that you're describing.
Okay.
I'm with you. I'm hesitant on the U for some of the same reasons. I wouldn't say it's enough of a reason to not go that route, though. Partly because it's my job to try and make it look good. Like, we might, if we're like, oh, it's successful, it has potential for all these other reasons, except we don't like the way it looks in a circle. It's like, well, let's just figure it out until it looks good in a circle. Like, it's not that big of a blocker, I wouldn't think.
Well, that's one. Also, it's just the like XRP is probably another example. Like,
of what?
well, like you have the X and then you have the XRP.
Yeah.
And so, like, if we ever put them both side to side, I don't know. U tends to be like, it's kind of an annoying letter.
Kind of university.
Oh no, just U, or like the open-ended things like U or N. Compared to like a constant, like.
Okay, I just wanted to look at this.
Yeah.
But the sun, I think
This
keep
looks
doing
fine.
the
This
thing
looks
you were
fine.
doing. I want to see more of that.
Of what? What was I doing?
The sun, the U with the sun thing.
Oh,
You were
okay.
playing with that.
I can do
I
that.
wanted to see where.
Um,
No, you don't have to, but.
no, it's fine. I got on a tangent because I was like, I just don't. It seemed unlikely to me that the U wouldn't work at this size. I think, yeah, Jacob.
Yeah, no, I'm not worried about that.
Well, Jacob,
No,
it's
it's not
like
at that side. So like, CoinMarketCap is not the best one.
this is CoinGecko.
But
What's wrong?
well, like, if we have a U, we can just put Union.
Yeah. Sorry, I meant, what's wrong with that? What do you mean we can just put Union? You're saying why do we need a logo? Or
Oh no, like if we have a U, then it just seems like it doesn't. It basically just doesn't open up as much as like say like I don't know. I think I lost my thought.
Well, it sounds like you were building up to the same thought you had earlier, which was that the U doesn't express anything to you. It just feels like a stupid U. Or you didn't say it that way, but it's like, who gives a shit?
Yeah. So, okay. So it's not a separate thought, or it's not a separate like it's not expressing a separate thing
Right.
that isn't present in the union. So like apple, you can picture an apple, but like it's not just apple. It's apple with like the bite out of it. And like the bite out of it is kind of the important thing, which separates it from being just like you thinking of apples.
Yeah, actually, I don't know on that one. It's funny because I always tell logo clients, it's like you don't want your icon and your name to be the same thing, which is what I think I hear you saying. Like you don't want to put the word apple underneath a picture of an apple because then you haven't taught them anything. You haven't like put a new thought into their head. Ideally, you have like a 1 + 1 = 3 type thing where the icon and the name interplay with each other to build a new understanding. And then often I'll get a client be like, well, what about apple? It's like apple and it's an apple. And it's like, well, shit. And there's reason, and like it works for them for other reasons, which I think was like the context in which it came out. Generally, though,
So
I just don't think the bite actually means anything to people. I agree with you to some degree, but also I think they probably could have just had the apple with no bite, and it would have had the same success and effect. I like the bite out of the apple.
Maybe. So your reason for why not apple like is the reason why like not you in my mind. It's also why like
yeah, no, I'm with it. I'm my instincts are sympathetic to yours here, where you don't want you and Union, you want something interesting and like additive to go with Union, so that you have a better understanding than just the same fucking letter.
Well, it's a thing people can like grab onto. It's also why like probably not just having like the union with the two circles.
Or the Venn diagram.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too bad. Again, like it's too bad the union symbol isn't more interesting. But even like I don't know, what you can start. This was kind of what I had started to talk about, where it's like building like minor details around this. That's funny. That starts to look like Uber. We couldn't potentially find whatever. I don't want to work on that anymore. Anyway, I'm gonna do the sun for a minute. So it seems like we need to figure out. I'm gonna play with the sun more, but I just want to. I'm still gonna argue for this direction because I think there's still something here. It's just that I never completed it, and then I would say there's something cool happening with like this sigil, magical transistor, Lovelace vibe, which we can still pursue. And then there's gonna be this sun. Although I don't know if this will go anywhere. And then I'm talking about different directions that we're going to be executing on. And then there's what Liam had started to think about, which was like just trying to figure out something completely non-literal, which I think speaks to what you're asking for, Jacob, which is like, how can we give people a feeling of union without actually saying union or using the letter U? So here's a question. Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Boy, I don't like saying that. I'm gonna try and not say that ever again. Let's say that we're still inspired by early Cocoa clubs. We're still inspired by small groups that are going to build the next empire. I'm just curious, if we're not going to put the letter U, let's say we have something like a sigil, or a little crest, or a guild mark, and we're not gonna do anything like the letters, and we're not gonna do anything like the letter U, and we don't want to do the number 3. Like, maybe we can do 3, but it doesn't have special significance. What are some of the things that we can try and draw or symbolize in the mark that's not that? Like, we could have little clusters of dots that represent groups.
For instance,
say that again. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think there was some of the art. There was some of the things around the artifacts that you wrote that list of earlier on. Like, there might be some more metaphors, like metaphorical stuff we could play with from those kind of artifacts. Or, yeah, like, to be honest, I really like the sigil direction idea, the whole club sigil thing. Like, I think there could be something really interesting there. And I think basically the U thing, I think, like, in this case, could be something that frames the logo, for instance. Like, the U is like the frame for the mark, but it's not the mark, if you know what I mean. Like, I think that something like that makes more sense, where it's a frame to the mark as opposed to just the mark itself. You get me?
Yeah, I would maybe. Would you say another way of saying that is, like, it's a detail that someone will catch but isn't critical, that some people will catch but isn't critical to remembering or enjoying the mark?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, for instance, if we had someday. I mean, it's going to be hard to hide as a detail because it is the letter U on top of or next to a word that begins with the letter U. I mean, I
think what I mean more is, like, literally what you've been doing with the sun thing up here.
Yeah.
I know you're not really going anywhere there with that massively, but it has the U there, right? Like, there is a U within that as the frame for this mark, but it's not the mark. Mm-hmm. All the stuff inside of the U also makes it what it is.
Yeah, I had. Did you see that one where it was like a closed lozenge shape up above, and then I just had like some it broke the line in order to give the kind of a hidden U. I'll go pull that in a second. That's weird. What was that? What else can we put in here? Are there other math equations that might be cool, that are core to your system, that we could represent in an interesting way? Like, are there ways to symbolize credit that might be like inside jokes that we could abstract further? Percentage signs.
Credit is just...
We could like we could go super literal with it into like a house or like a mansion symbol, or like even like a bitmap image would be pretty funny. Like if we made this look like an old manor, like like it literally has a physical location in order to get to Union. That would be kind of hilarious, just through implication.
I mean, a credit is just a positive sign in a ledger.
It's a positive sign and a letter.
Well, in a ledger, it'd just be like,
yeah,
if you want to credit someone,
right.
it'd be a plus sign.
If we were going to apply it, so if it's plus, if the symbol for credit is plus sign name, for instance, is there something that we could put next to name, like plus globe icon, like credit the world, plus human silhouette,
Yeah.
plus network.
What about
symbol.
what about just the globe?
Yeah. For
Because
within
the issue. So like with this friction of like global, local, like, or like timeless, modern. Like I think we have the like Union. It's not a very well. Like if Union in that typeface, like.
which typeface?
Well, what we have right now is just Montserrat.
Oh.
It's very modern, nice, friendly, but still a little corporate.
Can I veto Montserrat?
I don't think I have it, so you've got that going for you.
Helvetica New.
It's a Google font.
Oh, sure.
I hate Montserrat.
Sorry, dude.
Why do you hate Montserrat?
I think I used to like it like years ago, and it's just like I think it's the font that I see more than anywhere else on the internet, on the modern internet, because it's a free Google font that everyone just uses because it looks nice.
Yeah, it's like an approximation of nicer fonts, and so for a designer looking at Montserrat, it's like, oh, I wish I could just use whatever, and it's kind of a a constant reminder that you're using a free font.
But it's
I love like Inter is actually my favorite font, like Inter by Rasmus Anderson. Do you know?
No, I don't.
Yeah,
and that's like an open source font that's gotten super popular over the last like 2 years. Like most apps on the web, or a lot of them, use internet. But that for me is timeless.
Jacob, but I think you were saying, like, what if we just use a globe, because combined with the name, it's kind of dope, because you're saying let's combine the world, or plus the world, or unify the world, I should say. Was that where you were going with that?
Yeah, it's also got kind of a MasterCard-y, credit-y vibe. Or maybe that was Visa. I forget who is no, that's MasterCard with the two. Oh, MasterCard is a Union. I think.
Yeah, MasterCard has the Venn diagram looking thing.
Yeah, like, because I think we need, like, Union is very, like, open, like, it just seems like to balance it, it needs something that is a circle.
What if you turned the globe into more of a U? Would anything like that work, or am I just being dumb now?
Like a Death Star.
Hold on though. So I'm gonna draw. I'm gonna do this as a U for sure. That's gonna be awesome. Makes me think of like, what is it, like Telemundo or something that has a 3D whatever. But Jacob, you were saying you think Union feels open to you, so it needs a circle for a logo. I think was kind of the sentence.
Let me.
And I want to understand that better. Like, what is it? Is it the word union to you feels very open, like the letter forms themselves? And if not, is it more like a conceptually it feels open, and circle feels very like secure and closed? Is it that kind of thing?
Yeah, just the like. So like the U and O and well, I guess U and N are both like they're basically just curved lines. Whereas a network is a thing that is like they're all circles essentially, as in like they're closed or like those words are not the best.
There's no such thing as a
line is 2 points. Like, but like a network would be like at least 3.
Mm-hmm.
And that always would be either a triangle or would look like a circle. Like I guess it could look like a U, but like the U network where it's like just node here, node here, node here, or I guess node here, node here, node here, and only 2 edges, and kind of the V or U shape is a very, very, very weak network, which we would not want.
Right.
It's kind of looking like a black hole.
Gravity well.
Yeah.
Nice. What do you have against gravity wells, dude?
I don't. I just think it looks like it.
Just kidding, man. Why you gotta judge gravity wells? I love that meme. I forget which one. I forget any of the specifics of it, but it's like a series of vertical. It's like a horizontal line with a bunch of dimples in it. There's like 4 in a row, and then the last one goes all the way off the bottom of the page, and it's like different gravity wells of something, and the last one's like, you know, like your mom's ass or whatever, some insult or funny thing. Hide the guilt you feel that day. I'm not sure. This is cool. It feels very broadcasty to me.
Yeah, it also feels like an inverse cage, like a bird cage.
Interesting.
You could put a little bird on top of it.
I actually also liked it when it was like quite open, when it like the globe stopped that halfway, like you took that halfway cut and then you had like all this space inside. It also kind of looked nice.
Yeah, hold on, I had an oval there too for a minute. That looked cool.
That looks pretty cool.
Boy, how would I do this? I mean, it's weird because this doesn't make any sense. The horizontal lines would need to be curved in order for the top to be open in that way. I mean, not that we have to be literal with the logo, but this is so messy. It's okay. That's what happens.
Yeah. I mean, the globe is good because it also has a corresponding emoji, which is, for some reason, a very crypto thing, or DeFi thing, mainly.
Yeah, that is true. Like having the globe emoji next to the word unity is gonna always be pretty cool. I wonder if I actually bookmarked. What's this? Hold on. It brings to mind something.
Yeah.
No, that's not it.
The other very like DeFi dev community thing is like having a very meme-able like brand. Mother.
We've got an O in our name. This is a classic move. Put the planet in your name for an O. We're gonna do this for sure. What? I'm sorry. What was the pattern that you were identifying?
It's just a lot of them tend to have very. Basically, they use memes, or like, it's a way to kind of engage the community. So like, Uniswap with the unicorn is able to have like unicorn socks. It's able to have the unicorn emoji. People do a lot of unicorn like memes around Hayden.
Right.
Like the urine stuff. I think that's probably mostly Kirby.
What's going on with Kirby?
They got in trouble. Well, not in trouble, but like.
Is what you're describing the same thing as Blue Kirby?
Yeah, Blue Kirby's who I'm talking about.
Cool. This is cool.
They did branding and that stuff pretty well.
Yeah, it was great. I was really enjoying.
But like, Aave has it with the ghost.
Who is that? Has it with the ghost?
Aave.
How do you spell that? I haven't seen this one.
AAVE.
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 I've heard people pronounce that differently as well. Do you know for sure it's Aave? Some people I know say Ave, like save, Ave.
I don't know.
It would be really funny to just be like.
But I mean,
we own
double A.
We own the planet.
Wait, are you making the word union at the top of this? Because I think that would be possible, right?
Out of right here. You
Yeah.
talking about that? No, I wasn't.
Like I nearly see union there right now.
Yeah, I see that now that you say it. No, I wasn't trying to. What was it going to do? I'm going to do this. What was the font that we had that was so generic? What was this? Chalet. I wonder if we could get a plus sign out of the I. Probably not. How does this, I mean, I don't know what we would do to make it like the globe more ownable, or if it would always just be an emoji, or if we would draw something or what, but like, do you actually, I mean, the potential here is pretty obvious. You wouldn't have to have it in the name, of course, like I'm doing just sort of a test. But do you guys want to keep trying this? Or, like, how are you feeling about this stuff? Where's the,
I'm not really a fan of it.
Yeah,
The
the
globe
logo.
emoji that Jacob's talking about is like the one you're already doing, basically. The
Oh yeah, the line.
blue one back on the images screen there. The line-based globe.
oh.
Yeah,
That's basically already what you were...
Well then, hold on. Let's try it again with that. Because it's the same question. Just different
Yeah, the drawing.
rendering styles.
The like primitive Earth globe just makes me think of like a, I don't know, like a daycare or something.
Harsh, bud. It's supposed to be a placeholder in your mind for an actual line drawing of the planet, but that's okay.
Yeah, it just looks disjointed, like uni globe and.
Well, that's gonna be fixed. That's like a matter of letter spacing and line weights.
Yeah, but we do have this issue with Uniswap. Their token is called Uni
What's your token?
Union.
That's cool. Ish. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna. I don't know. It seems pretty likely that we can get it to read as Union, and then it's not like
The
you have
version that you did of the globe without the horizontal lines was also kind of interesting. Like, it was just further simplified. I think it was like the first version you did that just used the 3 circles or the 3 ellipses.
I think
I don't know.
I think you
Something
just saw it halfway.
Yeah, I don't know. Something is quite nice about that, though.
Yonic.
Like, even if you try to thicken up the lines or something, it's kind of...
Oops. Do we even need 3?
It does work because it kind of looks like 2 brackets or parentheses, which is the set. It's also kind of
It's
an
also like
all-seeing
2
eye.
circles that are like concentric but perpendicular in 3D space. You get me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you want to flick this and watch it spin.
Yeah,
It is also a union, technically.
yeah, it is.
What do you mean technically a union? It's just
Well,
it's 2 circles together.
No, so like not
Because they're 2 circles within each other.
well, like 2 oblong circles, or whatever that shape is.
2. If they're in 3D space, though, you could say that they're circles.
That's true. Yeah, I guess they would be.
Ellipses.
That logo reminds me. That's 2 bananas.
2 bananas. Oh.
It also looks more like an O with that split, right? Because it's it's a characteristic of like a serif style O.
What logo looks like that?
Perfect Circle, the band.
Well, more like the banana one, where it's like the Eye of Sauron. O.
Yeah,
This reminds me of the Bell Systems logo.
observable. It reminds me of the observable logo, I think.
That's the one I thought, but maybe they changed it recently.
Observable.
Maybe they changed it. Oh,
What's observable?
Oh no, it's not. It just for some reason reminds me of it.
no, so I thought the same thing. So I'm thinking maybe they changed their logo.
This reminds me of Dr. Manhattan, the helium forehead imprint. You guys watch or read The Watchmen?
Yeah. That's not a bad one either. I did identify with Dr.
It can
Manhattan.
also work like that, I guess. I'd love to hear what you're thinking right now, Ben. Like, obviously you're like kind of going through the process, but what's your kind of feeling right now? Where's your head at with this?
Well, thank you for asking. And you're catching me in a moment of not necessarily having a take, to be honest. Well, I think right now what's happening is that you guys are leading and I'm following, and that's great. Like, I think it's like we're hitting some good ground. You guys are kind of getting into some of the stuff that's happening. I'm enjoying listening to you speak and just drawing the stuff that you guys are talking about. So that's kind of at this immediate moment, that's my headspace. This is like, and just for what it's worth,
Gotcha.
This is like I somehow avoided the designer tendency of being annoyed by feedback. I have always found feedback to be both highly interesting and useful. I mean, it gets annoying when
Yeah, no, I'm on the same page.
there are ways that feedback can suck. I'm not trying to sound like a saint, but generally I don't like,
Yeah.
I just don't mind being told what to do because it's cool. So I'm cool. And I think this is working pretty well. It's, what is it? 3:06. It's getting pretty late in the day. I'm a little worried, I suppose, that we're not further along. It's sort of like, it's my responsibility to guide this process so that you guys wind up with a result that has been like essentially guaranteed by the language. But on the other hand, it's tricky because designers don't get to make decisions. We just get to present options. And so it's like, I can't really say, hey guys, we only have 3 hours left. We need to start picking one so that we can start applying it to other stuff, because it's not my company. I'm not necessarily paying for my own time. It's just tricky. And so I'm happy to keep doing what we're doing. And we also probably have to start thinking about how we're going to get to a result that you guys are going to be satisfied with. And if that means like zeroing in on stuff that feels higher potential, or maybe this in and of itself is already exactly what you're hoping for. Like, I know some people have, like in the past, people have hired me not necessarily for the result, but just for the process, which is great. But I know that's not what we're going for here. So that was a lot of words. Well, I mean, right now what we're talking about is, it seems like you're both into this hyper minimal globe angle, because once it gets down to something this simple, it doubles up on meanings. And so that's what I'm playing with at the moment. It seems like you would both agree that you're both into it and that there's potential here. So I'll just stay the course for the moment. Interesting.
What about you know the one on the left here, the left of your screen with the kind of 2 ellipses only?
Yeah.
I wonder if there's something in that related to the star concept thing idea, where the stars are within the concentric area. Or sorry, not the concentric, the intersected area.
Mm-hmm.
Coming back to the whole union piece again.
Well, like it does kind of seem like a solar system, or like orbits.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why do you I'm sorry, am I brain dead? I am brain dead slightly. Why do stars make sense? Or why does orbit seem like something that you would want in here?
Well, I think the stars thing was related to the aspirational, like looking up at the sky. That was a conversation we had on day 1, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We spoke about that piece.
Right.
So that's kind of why I'm going back to that. But outside of that, there isn't really much else.
Well, there's the like adventure, ad astra, frontier, unexplored.
Astrolabe. Tech as a necessary component of unlocking new frontiers.
Yeah, because like the globe is modern but timeless. But it's not. It doesn't seem young.
Are you saying that in opposition, or like as a bad thing, because we want it to feel youthful?
Well, yeah, like I mean, I'm sure there's ways to make a globe seem youthful. I'm just kind of
Mm-hmm.
spitballing.
Well, I'm just trying to make sure I understand what you mean when you say it doesn't seem young. As like is that a good thing or?
Well, like that type of logo, like it seems very 80s.
Yeah.
Which like
or 70s. Like you're talking about like line work
or
globes.
60s.
Airline industry is I think is when a lot
yeah,
of
like
them came out.
Continental Airlines.
Yeah. Actually, let me pull it out. What's the other one? Pan Am.
Oh. Okay. No. That's not it. I love Pan Am though.
Yeah. How could you not? You know.
Or was it? Yeah, there it is. Continental Airlines.
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing I like about the 2 circles is that it's kind of like it touches on a lot of those metaphors that we kind of spoke about. Like it feels like global. It has the like union aspect built into it already as well. So I think that's why I'm kind of like, I feel like those 2 circles is something there. I don't know.
Boy, that's strong.
Yeah, not that one.
No, I know. It's just like, wow. Kablow. The AT&T mark.
Yeah, we definitely want to avoid the AT&T.
Liam, what were you? Why does the 2 circles include the contrast between global local? If that's what you were saying.
Well, it doesn't have the contrast between global local. It's more that it has the like concentric piece, or sorry, the union piece. So it's like the union of those two sets, because they're within each other, and they would contain the same set, I guess. Then there's like the global aspect, just because it kind of looks kind of like planetary or like orbits. So yeah, I don't know. Just some of the references that we've had over the last couple of days. Feels like it kind of comes back to some of those a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think the globe, like the really detailed globe with more ellipses, is a bit too much. Like it feels like it's fully focused on just the global aspect, which I don't think is correct.
Yeah, how do we make it local?
Do we give it a... I mean, okay, so part of my concern, not concern, just like one of the goals that has to be accomplished here to me is that I don't know what percentage of people that looked at this would get minimal globe. I think a lot of them might just see oval in a circle and not really know. And there's some people that are so visually
I think
impaired that they're, even if we explained it, they would be like, I still don't see it. And that's okay, like we're not going to get everyone.
Yeah,
but my
sure.
thought is like, I
feel like the version below is more correct. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I'm not really saying anything other than it's on my mind. Like, how can we, like, what are some more detail? What's a detail or like some sort of texture or rendering style or who knows what that's going to get it to read slightly more like what we want it to. And then also, can we give it, yeah, like, you know, Jacob's asking, how do we get local in here? Like, can we give it slightly more meaning or something more? Dash lines, I feel like, are ubiquitous. Does this have... Are you worried at all about feeling? Like, this doesn't leave you... This composition doesn't leave you dead in the same way that the U by itself leaves you empty? Like, does this start to approach any of the feeling that we want to have of, like, clubhouses and such? I mean, maybe we get some of that through...
I'm not sure. Like, I'm not sure if it's... I'm not sure if it's, like, there yet, but, like, just that there could be something here with it, you know? Like, playing around with that. Like, you did this version with the stars in it. You started doing that. Maybe that would be cooler as, like, a blacked out area in the middle with the stars. Maybe the stars are something we don't want to do at all. I don't know. I'm just...
Yeah.
I think maybe I'm more looking at this at, like, what looks good as opposed to what makes sense right now. Maybe that's my fault.
I mean, a globe is very global. It is modern, timeless. It does have that trust feel. I guess maybe it's...
This has a bit of an astronaut helmet look to it.
Yeah, I was thinking something.
What's like Among Us? Doesn't that have like a little helmet
Yeah.
look?
That just looks like a person with like a funny face.
Boop.
What about, like, a more... I don't know why I'm going back to the stars, but, like, a larger star element, like, in the middle here or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just talking about aesthetic right now, aren't I?
Well, that's not a problem. I mean, it's like it was you know, we had that long digression earlier about alchemy versus alchemy, like different interpretations of alchemy, and
It does look like, well, like the two bananas one. It does look like imagine a portal with like a door, and then that door is opening in the middle.
The banana one.
Yeah, that's kind of what I got as well.
Oh no, the one that you put the star on.
Oh, I didn't know. Oh, I didn't know we were still calling this banana one. Okay, so then I'm sorry. When you said banana, I thought I needed to be looking at a different one. Say it again. It looks like a portal and like
Yeah,
stepping
so
through it.
imagine like a hobbit hole, that circle door,
Oh yeah.
but the door opens like with the hinge in the middle.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what I see as well. I see,
Yeah.
you know, what are those things that you like have the string and you like
Oh.
pull the string and it
Gyroscope?
stands on your finger? What a
Gyroscope?
Yeah, gyroscope. Yeah, that's what it reminds me of.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I mean that's the thing. It's like if you can look at this dimensionally, it gets really cool. But if you look at it just like line work, it's like
I think that's how I look at it. Like I look at it dimensionally by default, and maybe that's why.
it's the curse of being a visual thinker, I guess. Man, I hear you. That's what I would be. I'm the same way. It's like I can't. It's hard to see it any other way. This is cool though. I mean, it's not. This isn't quite right, but this does have like a almost like a Japanese futuristic, shiny Earth utopian.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always for that vibe, even though it always goes dystopian.
This just, I think the shininess adds a level of objecthood to the shape, where it's like it kind of like forces your mind to be like, oh, these circles are actually a thing, and what is it? Oh, it's probably something like a globe, or it's like it becomes something like a.
Can you try add a stroke? Sorry.
No, go ahead. What's up?
Can you try adding like a stroke to the outside of the star, like a white stroke, so it's so it kind of breaks that line? Do you get me?
1 second. Oh, now we got Sauron. That's cool. Did you mean just like
a stroke outside to break it? Yeah.
Like that kind of thing?
Yeah, even thicker again, like maybe the same thickness as the Oh.
This star thing is making me just wanna. Union. Yes. It's just like the ideal of looking straight up into the sky and wishing or imagining. That's cool. Hold on, I messed up the other one. One of my favorite things about working digitally is being able to copy and paste things back and forth into retrieve things from the future, bring them back into the past. It's like, haha, I didn't lose you. I love doing that.
Yeah, here's the logo from. Oh wow, that's just the worst thing.
Did you paste something?
I did, but it was just the worst of things. I don't know what is going on with.
It's a base 64 encoded PNG. That's what it is.
Weird.
Holy crap.
Okay, this is the older one, but it'll actually give a link.
What is that?
Just the star.
Brings to mind.
Oh, all right.
Oh, this was an old startup of mine. Lockheed Martin.
I think there's another one in this vein that has that too. Where's the Brightwork was yours too?
Yeah.
Cool.
mainly just like the star. Like you need the it lifting up, otherwise it looks like a butthole.
There. Now it's a star. um, All right. Do we want to review, or is it unnecessary? It seems like we're all fairly into where it's headed at the moment. If we can figure this out, here's the thing that we could do, real quick, which we haven't done yet, which is, don't you have what's the URL for your like empty template? Was that in the Figma file, or is that somewhere live?
For which, sorry?
I'm sorry, you guys have a Union site. Was it this that I should start, that I could maybe plug something into to see how it feels?
Yeah.
Oh, I should bring up, sorry, I'm just remembering some other work that didn't get used, that I had some globe action going. I just wanted to, I'm thinking about a break, and I'm thinking about also wanting to see this mark, or something like this mark on with your current content, to see if we're like, if there's chemistry between them. It's funny that you were already using this globe, given where we're at.
Yeah, there's not a lot of Union related emojis.
Is that in reference to having used that globe, or is that you're looking at something else? Because that globe wasn't.
In reference to the globe. The other one that kind of has tied to us to Union would be like the spider web.
It's gonna be hard to. Oh, I wonder if I do. This line is right where I would want the glare bugging me. I guess I'll just try cutting it for now. And then you're hiring an illustrator that you already know who they are. Should I plug in something of theirs to contrast it with?
Yeah, just search for Liam Cobb.
I'm sorry, is it K or COBE or? Yeah.
COBB.
Yeah. Sorry, thank you. I'm looking for one that has some sort of.
I feel like our brand would more dictate the color, but.
Yeah, I was trying to find just something that had similar messaging, maybe like a bunch of people or an interior space with a group. We got some snakes here, that could work. But I'm not seeing anything. A lot of his stuff is kind of.
Check his website as well. Maybe there might be.
This stuff's kind of lonely.
Probably more on his website or on Instagram.
Yeah. I'm just gonna grab this. Oops. So like the colors. Let's hide sad faces here. This wound up looking too much like a C. Unintentionally.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like we could just use what's already in the mock-up to decide if the vibe's going to wind up working out. Because it's so similar to kind of where it's going. Like if you take the current globe icon and then try and picture it being highly minimal with like a little bit of glitz on it, it's like that's kind of what we're describing. Let me get rid of the... Oh, I screwed it up. Let me, I was going to say, let me just get rid of the... lens flare. Lens flare in the context of the Star Trek conversation is funny. I really like the aesthetic of the new Star Trek movies, I gotta say. They're fun. They're fun action movies.
Yeah, the colors are muted. Terrible colors.
Oh.
It's all blue and orange.
I think this circle is like as close as you guys have gotten to an agreement on what kind of implies some of the things in a way that you like. Oh, is there something I can do here that will make it feel even more close to what you would have in mind so that you can see if this is in the right direction?
This stuff is difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. Or it can be.
I mean, line thickness is, I guess,
played
the
around
question.
more stuff in my doc if you want to see some more of that. But other than that, I don't have any more ideas.
Well, it's not so much that there's a shortage of ideas or things that we can be doing. There's all sorts of things that I'll keep drawing and massaging. What I'm trying to do is more like guide us toward you guys liking a direction so that we can choose it and narrow our opportunity cost. Because for as long as I play with this, it's time spent
I feel like
not exploring other ones.
Like, I feel like it is towards, like, I think that concept is closer than a lot of the other concepts we've looked at. But yeah, maybe there's some more inspiration or ideas we can pull from elsewhere. I just need to go to the bathroom quick. I'll be back in a few minutes.
Okay, yeah, maybe we take a break.
Yeah,
I think.
What's
so
that?
I think the thing that will get the young but fresh, because we are in this kind of like retro revival ish, where like even neomorphic is coming back. Where like maybe we don't have to be like 1800s ancient, maybe just like maybe timeless for us is enough that it's 1960s. If we can make those type of aesthetics modern, so like the Pan Am but make it modern, so like
the problem that comes up in my head as you describe that is I might say that there's a big difference, like Victorian reference, not the Victorian as like something kind of like weird or old or antique or whatever, Renaissance or something to that effect, as opposed to something that's like 1960s or 1970s corporate. Is I would say that 1960s, 70s corporate visual language is, we're still living in it, and to some degree it's synonymous with boomers. And so anything that looks really strong and solid and of that vein, I think it's going to be hard to make it look like anything other than a company that just got launched by someone who's 50 plus. Like they're kind of the same. They're kind of the same thing.
Yeah. Because I guess we do need to speak to that young audience.
Well, we would. It seems like a young audience mostly appreciates like authenticity and intelligence. It's like
put the funny looking dog on it, I guess.
Yeah, man. Well,
maybe a good way to kind of gauge that would just be like, would it look cool on a shirt, and would you wear that shirt in front of friends and people?
That's as a way to determine the youth vote.
Yeah.
Or just as a way to determine a good logo vote. Or both, I guess.
Maybe both. Because, like, yeah. I guess Cash App is doing that with Cash App Compound.
I'm not sure if I've seen that.
They funded a, like, massive, like, live streamer esports compound called the Cash App Compound. It'd be like if Nike funded a sports training camp. Well, I guess I'm probably sure Nike does.
Now that you mention it, it does sound kind of familiar. I think when I saw something about that, I'm not sure I believed it was real.
Yeah, it's like the 100 Thieves or whatever group.
Right.
But no, it's real. It's just a little pretty silly.
I had to do this.
Oh, Liam, have you left yet?
I assumed that he left and then he was going to come back and then we'd figure out a break.
Hey, back now.
Perfect timing.
Did I miss anything?
Nah.
No, we just talked about Cash App Compound and will it look good on a shirt? Or better yet,
What's Cash App Compound?
Cash App funded a esports streamer giant thing.
100 Thieves.
Yeah.
The fuck?
I mean, it could be the star thing.
What's up?
Well, like right now, the star thing's pretty cold. Like the little 4 dots.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you would do to make it more like the Ada Lovelace drawings.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. Obviously, is like if I would, I'm just thinking like if I would a cool mark be something like transport ourselves back in time 100 years plus to this era, and we're thinking about, let's say, like the telegram, and we're like, oh shit, everyone's gonna be connected by like 5 minutes worth of buffer time over these dots, and we're super excited about it, and we're thinking about the future where everyone's gonna be connected, and then someone starts sketching it on a piece of paper, like what would that look like? Where we're like, okay, we could all be on different parts of the planet talking to each other, and it would only take 2 days worth of relay. And so, like, I'm just thinking, there's there's very little of the modern geometry that we have associated with computers and networks. So, like, maybe there's, like, could it be asymmetric, like lines between one of them, whereas another one gets something more serious. I don't know the answer. That's where my head's at this moment. Is like, what would I be trying to draw, and what would it look like? And
Yeah,
I think it was
I mean,
kind of the same question as what you were getting at, which is like, if we could pull something like that off, it would add humanity or like some warmth to this star stuff that is currently lacking.
Yeah, because the way that so we have been looking backwards, but maybe we should look forwards.
Yeah, what's up?
So, like, maybe the ancient is now.
Mm-hmm.
Or the outdated is now. And so we should
Are you saying be true to our era because it's going to be ancient anyway? Type thing?
well, like, I don't know, because that would require us to know what the design trend of 50 years from now would be. So all we have to do is invent a time machine in order to make that vision come true.
All right, well, give me a couple more hours.
Yeah, that's just a start, David. We want to avoid that.
Yeah. No, I'm just it'd be cool if we could figure out how to do a group of groups. Like, if that's a trio and it was somehow, I mean, that's a lot of that early Ethiopian and well, not the Ethiopian, sorry, the Ethiopian didn't have modular stuff. The Veve, I forget what it was called. There was a term that I didn't expect. It was a spiritualist sigils and such had like clusters of dots that were embedded in larger designs. Which is kind of what Union's going for. Groups get squads on squads. Shoot.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the I-cars or L-cars. I don't know if there's anything there, though.
The what is it? The L cars?
Just the Star Trek interface. Here, it's probably the best. But just thinking through the idea of what would a future interface look like?
If you did know what the future interface would look like, or that, you know, if we did have a time machine, what would you do with that information right now? Like, how do you envision us using it?
I don't know. It would depend on what it would look like. So we basically have to build mainly. instead of being like timeless by looking backwards, we can be timeless by like projecting forwards. Was kind of my thinking there.
Timeless can mean that we want to appear as though we're timeless, and timeless can mean that you want to save money and not have to redo the logo. Like I don't mean that quite so practically. I mean like timeless in as much as you really don't want to look like it's from any era because you're avoiding something, or timeless because you want someone to feel like it's around forever. Like there's like are you looking for like classic, or are you looking for
No, timeless as in like the thing, it's building towards something like
right
in the future. So timeless as an aspirational.
So then I guess I would maybe get back to my thought, which is that I wouldn't want us to reference something like 70s corporate, because we're seeing so many of, if it feels like that at all, then it's just going to feel like it's going to fall apart, because we're seeing so much of that infrastructure type stuff fall apart now, or these private businesses that were birthed in that era.
I mean, I think so. Pan Am like still has that vibe, and like, because Pan Am is timeless, like that feeling.
Right. So but if you felt like Pan Am, hold on, let's just
let me kind of elaborate there on kind of the timeless thing. So like, Pan Am speaks to the time, like basically it died young, so like it never got old and dated.
Well, sure, but I'm not so much talking about Pan Am as I am this genre of feeling, or visual language, where it's like there's a timelessness to these big giant companies that we've talked about a little bit by looking at some of these airline logos as a positive thing, and I'm just saying this doesn't look timeless to me anymore, even if the mark
that one doesn't, but Pan Am does.
Which Pan Am? The OG, this guy?
Yeah. Well, like, yeah, and like you could make it modern by, well, I think they did, by like removing Pan Am, making the lines cleaner, changing the font a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I could just go grab that line work one that someone did.
Yeah.
But I'm almost done.
I don't know if that was a thing they did or something that someone did to
as an exercise.
Just for the fun of it.
Yeah, I couldn't tell either. The credit. Well, actually, it may have been referencing the original, because it said Chermayeff and Gizmo, which is the studio that they're still operational, and I can see them maybe having redone it. Whatever. Anyway, okay, so let's just say that this is an approximation. Yeah, this feels fairly fresh, or it could, for sure. I think the danger is like, I think my danger, but I'll just stop saying it, which is just like, this also to me feels a bit boomer, and in order to feel futuristic or youthful or timeless, projecting into the future, it might be important to like throw a curveball, like like have a weird rendering style that's digital native only, or I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's just the lines.
The lines are doing what? The lines are the only things you want?
Well, like, this looks boomer because it's, well, like, it's a GIF or a PNG or whatever. A flat file, I guess. So, like, it's not digitally. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not
all the words.
It's not vector, like, it's not crisp. It looks rasterized or artifacted a bit.
Yeah, that's the word.
I don't know if that's the only reason it looks boomer, though. Like,
I don't know if that's the only thing. Yeah.
I
feel like it's more than that. Why that looks boomer.
I mean, the interaction, like the spacing, the line work, the fill is all somewhat of that era, but then also there's like a centered confidence. There's like a projecting. There's like a we own the world vibe. It's like I don't know. It's hard to say though, like how much of this is just my bias carrying my logic forward. Either way though, what are we? I think what we're trying to decide, like what are we trying to decide? It's like we're trying to figure out if we like the globe line work, or are we trying to figure out if we want it to feel more stable in 70s classic versus dynamic. Maybe we're running up against the edge of this part of the meeting and we need to take a break.
Well, if we're asking if we need to take a break, we probably need to take a break.
Well, I've just remembered too that I forgot to follow up. I mean, I think this was feeling good at the time, and it still feels pretty cool.
Well, yeah. I mean, my issue with the stars is just it looks like a person with an eye patch or a over 9,000 or over 3,000. Little like laser eye.
Yeah, we can.
And then that looks like a duck.
It's more about the vibe than the exact detail right now, I guess.
I'm just
Yeah.
so
Just with the star positioning, I was just saying, in order for it to not look like, I don't know, like a funny looking emoji or a meme face. I guess that's detail.
I'm not sure. I'm not even sure. Are you?
Yeah. Oh, like right now, I just see a shark.
A shark?
A shark.
Or like some sort of fish. So imagine the star is the mouth, the dot is the eye.
Can't see that at all.
Is he rotated?
Rotate it, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't know, man. We can see faces in anything. I hear you that we want to avoid sort of handing that to someone on a platter. I don't think. I mean, I'm with you. I think that last one was a stretch. But I also think that it's the type of. It's important feedback, but that's not really what's being asked right now. Like, do we agree? Because I think the break that we should take right now is both a break and also, I'm just gonna work a bunch more, and I'd like to repeat back some of this stuff just to make sure I can sketch in the right direction. So, I'll keep working on the globe with a star. We definitely don't want the star to look like a mouth or a face, so I'll keep that in mind. If I'm going to keep doing globe, like we like Lovelace, we like Starfields, we like what's going on with this embedded coin globe thing. What else do we like? Well,
like the Lovelace stuff was because it was very like organic, drawn. Those squares, like, I don't know, none of the squares really felt right. Like, no sarcasm or hyperbole. I think that little dog-looking diagram, like, maybe that's like a one step too far, but like that type of like organic diagram, just with like digitized and clean lines, or not clean lines, but just like vector lines.
I don't know if I can even imagine that, to be honest, on my side. So
yeah. Well, like that picture there is missing the head. But even the little like even the little like 4 or 5 dots there.
This one?
Yeah.
Hers?
Yeah. Like the thing about that is nice is it's just very hand drawn, I guess. Like the lines are different, like shades. There's an ink blob. all of that stuff. So like making it all very symmetric. That's kind of it basically Borgified it.
No, I know. I have to. It's harder to draw inaccurately.
No, I know.
Um,
I'm just talking about kind of the feels of things.
Well, it's
So like
it's funny too though
weird
because like
and
hand.
diverse.
It's funny though because like if we're also interested in being native, there's no reason that it should look hand drawn. You know, like what?
Yeah,
And I think you already
I
asked
can
this. It's
see-
like what is the equivalent of hand drawn vibe for digital, for crypto? Is maybe part of the challenge here.
Well, like we could get it. So there is a different. Each edge will have a different size or different number because each person will have a different amount that they trust each person. So like everyone being uniform. Like that would imply that everybody trusts everybody the same amount. When in reality, like some people will trust some people more, some people will trust more people. So like that maybe doesn't have to come into like where it's hand drawn, but just like if we do something like that, like the network should have some sort of asymmetry because people aren't like cubes. Like everybody is weird and misshapen. But that's just on that one. For the globe, like, I don't know.
I'm going to cheat.
It's weird because there's actually something cool about that. I don't know.
Yeah, these are definitely cool.
I feel like Jacob's trying to get us to go and recreate the Curve logo or something. Kind of.
No, so like if it's this might be one step too far, but like if it's digital native, it doesn't even have to be like static.
Depending on the team, like depending on what resources you have for freelance, or like if you know anyone that trucks with Three.js or something. Yeah, for sure, that'd be fun.
Yeah. And then same with the two parentheses. Like that is a set, which is the set logo, which was the one that I was thinking of. From Set Protocol.
I don't remember their logo. They got great design though last time I looked, which was a long time ago.
Same. I don't remember.
Yeah. Looks like they've changed
I thought it was just the S. Oh, yeah.
I remember being really jealous of them.
They've kind of been quiet during this whole P5 thing. Maybe it was token sets.
No, they released. They just released that index, DeFi index.
It looks like they changed it.
You know?
Yeah. Oh no, I was saying their logo. It used to look more like it was literally just two set parentheses. Now it's this little S thing.
I think they had a couple logos that were all part of the same family. They had like a family thing going where this two circles, didn't they have a version that was different for the different token, and it was two circles on the horizontal or something?
Yeah, but like the very, very first one was literally just two brackets. But yeah, what I was saying with if we do have the oblong circle, or the oval inside of the circle, we could have it like spin.
Right. I'm a
Kind
little
of like it's wrapping around.
That's interesting. It's like the edges take on their own character here. The edges take on a shape, and the nodes become.
Yeah, I mean, so the other, I think we're missing two constraints going that direction would be, it does have to fit within the circle. And it does have to fit on a, like, whatever we go with has to fit in the little, like, Apple Pay format. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, tiny little icon that's a silhouette that's masked out from a button.
Well, like a Pay with Apple Pay type button.
Yep.
So, like, Pay with Union would be the kind of constraints, or the Affirm, something like that. All right. You want to just take a break and then come back in some number of time?
What do you have the answers you need, Ben, or should we be very clear about what answers you need?
No, it's all right. I don't think there are answers at the moment, which isn't great, just given our timing. But also, Liam, it's really late for you. How are you guys on time? Like, let's just say that we take a break. I'm probably not going to take a break. I'm just going to keep working. I'll take a short break, but how much time do we have afterwards? Like, I don't know. We're gonna have to have some come to God conversations, I think, after this break, and I'm wondering how much time I guess we'll have afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to be available for as long as we need. So don't worry about that. That's not like a constraint right now.
Okay. Well, I'm committed to figuring this out. I have it scheduled until 6 my time, which is 2 hours from now. I will start to fall apart later on in the evening, but I'm definitely not going anywhere until we solve it. So I'm okay too. So why don't we? What kind of break do you guys want? Are you guys gonna go like out for food or?
Oh, what time is it? Oh, it's 1 o'clock. Yeah, I'll probably just get some food.
Like, do you guys want to do half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour? I don't know. What do you think?
45 is good for me.
Whatever works for you.
Okay, let's do 45.
Cool.
4:45 my time.
Sounds good.
I'm going to stop recording.